Welcome back. I'm back working on the Mustang and making some really good progress. Okay, here's where I'm at. I've obviously got the hood out of the way, got the export braces out of the way, removed the radiator, got lots of clearance here. If you're watching this and thinking, wow, that looks pretty easy, keep in mind that I didn't hook everything back up to this engine. I didn't hook up the hoses, the power steering. I don't have my power steering pump here. Even my exhaust bolts were only snug. My transition bolts weren't torqued down, and I only had some of them in there. When I put this back together, I just needed everything to be in the car, not necessarily hooked up and drivable. So I'm able to skip a bunch of steps. But anyway, I loosened the transmission, got my exhaust disconnected from the manifolds, removed my starter motor, basically got everything physically disconnected, if not separated, from the engine itself. So the only things holding the engine in the car right now are, I don't know if you can see down there, I've got the engine mount, and even those are not the right bolts. I know they're not the right bolts. I think I talked about this when I put everything back together. But yeah, I just needed it to stay put, not be drivable. So I think what I'm going to do, I haven't done this before. I'm going to give it a go and see if this works or not. What I've done in the past is I've completely removed the exhaust and pulled out the transmission before lifting the engine out. I don't know if this is going to work without doing those things. The way things are hooked up with the exhaust, there's a little bit of interference with the mounting bolts here. So I know you need to slide this a little bit out of the way. And obviously the transmission is mated, so it needs to slide out before I can lift up. And I don't know if I can do that, or if there's enough wiggle room in the mounts, if I can just remove the bolts, lift it just out over. Oh, actually, hang on, let me see something. Okay, I'm underneath the car. Here's the motor mount. Here's the bolt I was talking about. And you can see it's just in there enough so that the motor doesn't go anywhere. Instead of removing that bolt and lifting it out, I think what I'm going to do is loosen and remove these bolts so that I can slide the engine forward. See, if I just remove these bolts, the bracket is still like this around the bottom half of the bracket. But with these removed, I should be able to slide the engine forward, slide it out from the transmission, and then lift up. So that should save me a bunch of work, hopefully. It's a one-piece exhaust going all the way back to the tailpipes, and it goes up and around the axle. This thing, I despise it. It's going away eventually, but I don't want to cut it up yet, just in case I want to use it as I'm rebuilding this car. So hopefully I can keep it where it is, up and out of the way, and I won't have to worry about removing it and dropping the rear axle to get it out and everything. So that's my plan. Let's see how it works out. So once you have the starter motor out of the way, you need to remove the 4 bolts that attach the flex plate to the torque converter. And the best way to do that is to rotate the engine manually until one of those bolts is in the window and you can reach it. One of the things that I picked up along the way is if you have another phone that you can FaceTime, or a security camera, or something you can set up so that you can rotate the engine and watch the other camera on your phone until the bolt is in the hole. That makes life a lot easier. Yeah, just manually rotate the engine until you see the bolt in the hole. That keeps you from having to guess and miss the bolt or the nut and have to get up and down, up and down, up and down over and over again. But before I lift this engine out and have it dangling from my my chain hoist, I do need to have a place to put it once I pull it out. So I've got my engine stand in pieces back there. I'm going to move the entire car over, get up there, get the pieces of the engine stand down, and assembled, so I have a place to put this motor in the meantime. All right, I got all of the pieces for the engine stand down and assembled, except for the part that mates to the engine itself. I'm looking around going, where the heck is it? Engine stand head. Okay, cool. I'll move the Mustang back over to get on the other side. Okay, I got everything out of the way, disconnected. We talked about that already. Found all the parts for my engine stand, got that assembled, ready to receive the engine. We talked about the hoist before. I'll see if I can add one of those little tags or cards. So if you're curious about this hoist setup, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and clear a path, right? I gotta move a couple 100 pounds of sand because that's normal, and clear a path, move these boxes, move the radiator, everything out of the way, move the engine stand and grandma's chair, as it's affectionately known, set up the hoist, and then let's rock and roll. Okay, I am frustrated and I'm getting tired. These wheel dollies are great, except the radius of the wheels is not huge, and I've got this nice little crack, expansion crack in the garage floor, and it is stuck there. I am using a pry bar, pushing, pulling. I'm afraid that if I keep doing this, I'm just gonna roll the wheel, the car tire, right off of the dolly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to jack up the front of the car, remove the dollies. Hopefully that lets it slide a little easier. Okay, here is a moment of truth. Got everything set up. My hook is in place. I checked all of my bolts, tightening down the lift plate. I'm going to take the weight of the engine off and then see if I can separate the separate the engine and transmission slowly. Once I have the weight of the engine, I'll loosen the 4 bolts that I mentioned before, then make sure everything's clear and see what happens. Well, now that I have used it in action with something heavier than, myself and a bucket of sand, I can give a little bit of feedback on the engine hoist and clamp. The clamp worked beautifully, stayed clamped to the I-beam, so did its job, didn't fail, no surprises there. With the hoist, for the most part, it was pretty smooth. There were a couple of points. I don't know if this is imperfections in the chain or something got caught in the mechanism or what, but I had to use a little more force than I wanted to raise or lower. So something to watch out for. Before I use it next, I'm going to go through and thoroughly inspect that chain, see if there's anything out of whack, or if there's anything in the mechanism that maybe is getting caught. But overall, I can't complain. It didn't drop the engine on me or the car, so I guess it did its job. All right, there is the beast out of the engine bay again. I'm sure some of you have done this multiple times before, were shaking their head when I talked about my plan to disconnect the transmission and lift it out that way. I guess there's a reason why I dropped the transmission in previous times I've done that. That's because there's nothing holding the front of the transmission up. So yeah, if you're doing this, and note for myself for next time, support the transmission if you're not gonna take it out, or better yet, just take it out. So yeah, you can see I've got a motorcycle jack under there. Maybe you can see right there. And a strap, just not holding it up, but just bearing a little bit of the weight, keep it from, in case that jack slips off while I was moving the car. So what I'll do is just reposition that jack, disconnect the transmission from the from its mounts and from the why can't I think of words? Drive shaft. Disconnect the, pull the drive shaft out of the tail of the transmission, slide it up, and probably park it underneath the engine again, just so it's out of the way. Also reminds me I'll have to find a spot for the drive shaft because nothing will really be holding that up at that point. Okay, I am super excited to have this up and out of the way, and I'm enjoying a much deserved beverage. Even with the engine here, if you can see, I still have room to walk on this side of the car, plenty of room in front of the car, and on that side, and plenty of room back there behind. I'm really liking this layout of the garage. As I pointed out before, it's a little inconvenient if I need to get things from either side, but you know what? I've got the wheel dollies. I'll put up with moving the car back and forth to have the space to work on it.
Okay, if you're still with me, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this or you found something useful or just enjoyed watching me fumble around and wanted to feed the algorithm with a thumbs up, that'd be great. I'm really thrilled with the progress we made with getting the engine up and out of the way. Moving on to the engine bay next. I know that the pace of progress is outpacing the pace of video creation. I'm hoping to catch up on processing and producing all the videos so y'all can follow along.